Think your new car was built to last? Think again. Most of the features automakers sell you as innovations are actually ticking time bombs. And if your car has even one of the 30 I'm about to reveal, it's not a question of if it will break down, but when we're talking about disasters that destroy engines, cause massive anxiety, and cost over $1,000 per year in maintenance. The worst one could cost you $1,000 for every single dollar it supposedly saves you. Before we dive in, if you want to avoid headaches and save money with your car, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos. And drop a comment below telling me which of these features you have in your car. Let's kick things off with one of the most hated driver assistance systems ever invented. Feature number 13, automatic start-stop system. Auto Start Stop was sold as this amazing technology that helps the environment while saving you money. In reality, this feature costs you thousands of dollars in several different ways. The first major problem with this tech is the effect on your battery and starter motor. Constantly turning on and off consumes way more power from these components, wearing them out much faster. Automakers try to compensate by installing deep cycle batteries or even two batteries. They also make beefier starter motors. However, all this means you need a battery that costs twice as much, and you might have to replace two of them. The second problem is that constantly restarting causes thermal stress and increases engine wear. While this isn't enough to destroy your engine outright, it means you need to maintain a strict oil change schedule. Go past 5,000 miles, even with full synthetic, and you're risking a $5,000 engine catastrophe. And let's not forget the increased safety risk. We all know someone who got rear-ended while waiting for their engine to restart. All this to save $40 a year on gas. No thanks. Do yourself a favor and disable this feature every single time you get in your car. As for the next one, only activate it if you want to tank your credit score with insurance claims. Feature number 12, automatic parking assist. A recent study in the UK found that remote parking assist is the least reliable driver assistance feature. Why? Because trusting the system is like playing Russian roulette. It might work, or it might dent your wallet with increased insurance premiums. When you have plenty of space between cars and clear markings, automatic parking assist is fantastic. However, nobody needs help parking in perfect conditions. Even then, this tech takes forever and can cause traffic jams behind you on busy streets. But the main thing you need to keep in mind are the sensors. The car uses sensors and cameras to detect obstacles, curbs, and distances to avoid scratches. However, the sensors frequently miscalculate distance. They can get confused by shadows, moving obstacles like people, and unclear street markings. When it comes to parallel parking, it's incredibly unpredictable. If you don't keep your foot on the brake, you could hit poorly parked cars or pedestrians. This makes this feature a financial liability. Frankly, it would be much cheaper to invest in becoming a better driver than to rely on this. If you think that's bad, the next feature causes exactly what it was designed to prevent. Feature number 11, lane keeping assist. Lane keeping assist was introduced as a lifesaver. Recent studies suggest it can reduce accidents by 11%. But in reality, it's just as likely to cause an accident as help you avoid one. The main problem with lane keeping systems is that it's not just a single component, but a symphony of interconnected sensors and You've got forward-facing cameras, radar sensors, steering angle sensors, an electric power steering motor, and control modules. When just one of these is compromised, the entire system fails, and something always breaks. Most drivers know not to use lane keeping assist in bad weather, like heavy rain, fog, or snow. However, what you should worry about most is a dirty windshield. Even bug splatter is enough to confuse the camera. Sun glare can also temporarily blind the system. And if you have a cracked windshield, you need to replace it. But instead of $500 for a normal windshield, you need a special one that costs up to $1,200, including recalibration fees. Beyond physical vulnerabilities, some systems struggle with obstacles like potholes, shadows, and never use this on a winding or narrow road. That's a head-on collision waiting to happen. And since we're talking about avoiding problems, don't forget to hit that like button if you're finding this content helpful. Tell me in the comments which of these features has already given you a headache. If accidents aren't your thing, never use the next feature on busy highways. Feature number 10, adaptive cruise control. Automakers have spent 30 years trying to perfect adaptive cruise control. Unfortunately, they're still far from getting it right. While the system is a massive improvement over regular cruise control, it's hard to trust a feature that shuts off whenever it feels like it. The biggest problem with adaptive cruise control is that, just like lane keeping assists, it has way too many vulnerabilities. First is the position of the sensors. The front radar unit is usually hidden behind the emblem, which is also a popular hiding spot for bugs. The system also uses a camera on the windshield that's susceptible to dirt, bug splatter, sun glare, and severe weather. Even the slightest fog is enough to make this expensive system useless. Speaking of expenses, the front radar unit can cost thousands of dollars. So a little parking lot fender bender that used to cost $500 can now run you up to $4,000. By the way, this will happen a lot if you use adaptive cruise control in the city. The system gets confused by parked cars, motorcycles, and people cutting in front of you. The biggest selling point of the system is fuel economy. On highways, it can reduce your fuel consumption by 14%. However, there are better ways to save fuel without risking expensive repairs or accidents.
But we're about to reveal a feature that's a vehicular manslaughter risk. Feature number 9, blind spot monitoring. If it weren't so full of flaws, blind spot monitoring would be the perfect feature. Unfortunately, some of its shortcomings put all drivers at risk, especially motorcyclists. Even in perfect conditions, the system has trouble detecting small vehicles like motorcycles and bicycles. Stationary objects like parked cars along the highway, guardrails, and concrete barriers also confuse the system. And when it starts raining, blind spot monitoring becomes even more unpredictable. The sensors are located in the rear left and right bumper corners. So when there's mud or heavy rain, the sensors stop detecting cars properly. The system might detect vehicles when there are none, or worse yet, fail to alert you when there is one. Since the sensors are in a vulnerable position, even a light tap can decalibrate the system. You might not see physical damage on the bumper, but blind spot monitoring will start giving false readings. When this happens, you need to take it to a dealership for repair. If you have a broken sensor, that can cost up to $4,000. Otherwise, you'll pay around $600 for recalibration. That's a lot to spend on a temperamental feature. Now it's time to dive into the most annoying dashboard warning light. Feature number 8, tire pressure monitoring system reset reminders. Here's a little known fact about tire pressure monitoring systems. When the light comes on, it means you're 3 times more likely to be in a car accident. However, because this light is always on, it's lost its protective edge. That's where the real danger lies. The dashboard warning light is connected to sensors in your tires. Every time you inflate your tires, the light should automatically turn off. However, most cars require a manual reset through a dashboard button or with a diagnostic tool. But here's something most drivers don't consider: the spare tire. That's right, there's another sensor in the spare. And even when it's not being used, it will still lose about 3 psi every few months. Since most drivers never inspect the spare until they have a flat, this light can stay on permanently. However, it could also mean the sensor battery died. Every time you rotate your tires, you also need to recalibrate the sensors. That's a lot of money. If the sensors are bad, you'll need up to $250 to replace each one. Frankly, this is a waste of money. Buy a $15 digital tire pressure gauge and check your tires manually every month. This will save you hundreds of dollars while keeping you safer on the road. Before we continue, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it now. And tell me in the comments if you've had problems with any of these systems. Speaking of safety, let's talk about a feature that's an open invitation for car thieves. Feature number 7, automatic keyless entry unlock. After years of decline, car theft started skyrocketing again a decade ago. Because of dumb technology like this that makes things way too easy for thieves. As you approach your car, the keyless entry system automatically unlocks it. It also locks it when you walk away.
You live in a remote area with 0 crime rate, this is convenient.
But for 99% of drivers, this technology is a car thief's dream. Keyless entry systems continuously transmit radio frequency or Bluetooth signals from the fob to the car. The problem is, this signal can be intercepted using a keyless relay attack. With this device, thieves can break in and steal your car in less than 30 seconds. Keyless relay attack systems start at $1,200. However, even thieves who can't afford this technology can still break into your car. Auto-locking takes between 30 and 150 seconds to activate, depending on your car. That's more than enough time for someone to hop in, grab what's in the glove box, and get out without you knowing. But before we get into that, let's expose a feature that's a hazard to oncoming traffic. Feature number 6. Automatic high beams. Only 15% of headlights meet visibility standards set by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety. But instead of automakers trying to fix this problem, they want to fix an imaginary one. The result is a feature that's not only useless in most driving conditions, but also dangerous. Automatic high beams use a windshield camera to detect oncoming headlights, taillights, and streetlights, automatically dimming the high beams. Just like we've seen with other features like lane keeping assist and adaptive cruise control, the camera is overly sensitive. A layer of dirt, dust, or a few dead bugs are enough to obscure the camera. Rain, fog, snow, salt spray, and ice buildup also make the camera obsolete. When the system breaks, you're looking at a $1,200 repair. But even when nothing's wrong, this feature can't handle winding roads. I see hundreds of comments from drivers who said they blinded others because the high beams refused to turn off. What makes it even more annoying is that disabling this feature while driving isn't always simple. The time you spend frantically trying to turn it off makes the situation even more precarious. Don't risk a lawsuit and leave this feature permanently disabled. Unfortunately, the next feature doesn't have an off button, leaving you with repairs for life. Feature number 5. Panoramic Sunroof. The last thing you want in a modern car is water intrusion, and that's precisely what panoramic sunroofs bring. And no, don't fool yourself thinking this is just a Land Rover problem. Leaking sunroofs come with the territory and will cost you thousands of dollars. Over time, the sunroof frame flexes and the seals degrade. As the seals fail, leaks start appearing. While all cars come with dedicated drain holes, they clog easily, causing water to accumulate. I've seen water damage ruin entire electrical systems so severely the car was totaled. If you're lucky, all you'll need is a motor or track repair, which costs between $1,200 and $4,000. If water gets into the cabin, it can cause mold and mildew, which pose health risks for pets and young children. So until panoramic sunroofs come with a lifetime warranty, they're not worth it.
Coming up next is another smart solution that leaves you stranded in extreme weather. Feature number 4. Automatic climate control. Automatic climate control was made to make your life easier. Just set your preferred temperature once, and it will maintain it every time you get in your car. However, this system requires multiple sensors, motors, and electronic modules to keep it running. This means as soon as just one of these sensors stops working, the entire system fails. The first part to break is usually the blend door actuator. In older cars, you can fix this for free in less than 5 minutes. But in complex cars, you could spend up to $1,000 on repair and recalibration. When sensors fail, that's another $1,200 to $1,800 extra. In other words, you could spend more on one repair than you would in a lifetime fixing a regular climate control unit. That's not even the worst part. Your fingers can go numb in winter while waiting for automatic climate control to reach the right temperature. And let's not talk about the different modes, buttons, and settings that are more confusing than comforting. But what makes this feature truly terrible is when it's combined with the next one. And if you're enjoying the content so far, don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe and turn on notifications. Comment below which of these you've had in your car. Feature number 3. Complex instrument clusters and infotainment systems. In the last 3 years, almost every major automaker has issued a recall related to an infotainment or instrument cluster problem. This is what happens when car design starts being led by the marketing team instead of engineers. Let's start with the less deadly of the two. Infotainment systems now go beyond navigation and app integration. They also house climate control, car management systems, radio, and everything else they can cram in there. This means when your radio has a problem, you have to fix the entire system. Air conditioning not working. Fix the entire system. Apple CarPlay not working. You get the idea. These things always break, but they don't make the news because most are still under warranty. But soon, spending $1,200 a year on these systems will be normal. And if the failure is critical, a complete replacement can cost a staggering $8,500. Fixing the instrument cluster won't cost as much, but that's the least of your worries. Kia, Hyundai, Ford, and Audi have recalled millions of cars because the instrument cluster can go blank while driving. Jeep issued recalls because their cluster was displaying the wrong speed. Forget the speeding ticket. This is a horrific accident waiting to happen. $8,500 is a lot for a repair, but the next feature can easily double that. Feature number 2, Eco Mode. Activating Eco Mode should be a magic system that instantly reduces fuel consumption and harmful emissions. But in reality, the only thing this feature activates is catastrophic engine failure. Eco Mode works by reducing throttle response, cutting air conditioning power, and making earlier gear shifts in automatic cars. However, Consumer Reports conducted a test under urban and highway driving conditions, and Eco Mode offered no fuel savings whatsoever. By reducing throttle response, drivers are forced to press the pedals harder to achieve desired speed. What happens is, your engine is in a high gear at low RPM, and you're applying more pressure. This causes engine lugging, which overloads the main bearings, rod bearings, and piston skirts. Lugging also causes carbon buildup, detonation, and reduced oil pressure, especially in turbos. Translation: this little button will destroy your engine in months. You'll face a $5,000 to $10,000 repair because you wanted to save less than 1 mile per gallon. But it gets worse. Since Eco Mode manipulates gear shifts, it causes excessive clutch wear and torque converter lockup stress. That's another $8,500 for a new transmission, and if you have a continuously variable transmission, you can kiss it goodbye. Add to that the horrible driving experience in a hotter cabin. The only positive about this feature is you don't have to activate it. That's the only reason it's not the worst feature. Which brings us to the king of all recalls. Feature number 1, remote software updates. Over 30 million cars were recalled in 2024 for a software issue at an average cost of $600 per recall. Remote software updates can help manufacturers reduce this cost to just $80 per car. However, while automakers are saving money, car owners are paying the price. In theory, and in Teslas, remote software updates work great. In a few minutes, your car can be back up and running. However, these updates rarely work as intended, and drivers don't realize it until disaster strikes. In May 2025, Ford issued a recall of 1 million vehicles to fix a backup camera issue. Some drivers who attempted remote updates reported the update froze and bricked the car. They then had to tow it to a physical dealership. GM also recalled millions of cars to fix an airbag issue. And this is where it gets dangerous. Both you and GM might think the update fixed the problem until you're in an accident. Many automakers have tried to fix safety systems and engine problems with multiple remote updates that didn't work. To save money, automakers are putting lives at risk. If you have the option, always decline the remote software update and go to the dealership. Yes, it takes more time, but it reduces your chances of a horrific accident. So, there you have it. 13 features that look great on paper, but in the real world will leave you bankrupt. If you're using any of these, you can still reverse some of the damage, but you need to act fast. And before we wrap up, if this video was helpful to you, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss upcoming content. Comment below which of these features you have in your car and if you've had problems with any of them. Doing this will save you thousands of dollars in engine repairs.